welcome back to part 2 of today's lesson. And for today, I just want to give a quick introduction to child evangelism. Why is it important? And to do that, I want to tell you a little bit about my life and just my experience as a child. And I'm sure for a lot of you, you can relate to what I'm about to say. But I grew up in northern Canada, and so I grew up in the land of cold and moose and all that good stuff. And I grew up with a mom who loved and served God and who taught me to do the same. But I also grew up with a lot of turmoil in my life, kind of dysfunctional home for a lot of different reasons. And there was a lot of big, heavy things in my life that caused me to be very withdrawn and kind of step back from a lot of people. I was the kid that if you met at VBS, you tried to give me a hug, and I kind of had that resistant wall, kind of like to retreat into my own little corner, if you will. And so growing up, there was one thing that was the highlight of my year. And no joke, I remember crying so often when it would end, and that was my yearly camp. We would go to a camp in Ontario, the only holiness camp that I know of, and would go and just spend a week drawing closer to God. But the highlight as a kid was the children's services. Those children's services marked me. They made a difference in my life because I just remembered the people that were there, whether it was Brother and Sister Baker, or Jean and Angie Davis, or Brother and Sister Ward. All those children's evangelists just made a difference in my life. I can tell you a few things they taught me. I can tell you some of the stories, some of the songs, even some of the Bible verses. But the big thing that I remember is how they made me feel. And as a teacher, I know something my cooperating teacher told me when I was doing my student teaching. She said, Esther, your children will not remember everything you taught them, but they will remember how you made them feel. And for a children's pastor or child evangelist, you have the opportunity to let kids know how God feels about them. The way you look at them, the way you treat them, the way you touch them, the way you interact with them allows them to have a little piece of who God is and how he views them. When you look on them with love or do something that just shows them how loved they are, that makes a difference in their life. So I remember one person who came one year to camp, and I was so excited for camp again this year, and this person was a little different. She didn't quite have that loving attitude that so many of the others had. And she came into Canada, which, has its own culture and all of that. And she came in with her American flag, and every day she made us kids sing the Star Spangled Banner and pledge allegiance to the flag of America, of the United States. Well, it really wasn't a big deal. But to my 11-year-old self, that was a big deal because I was an American. I didn't want to pledge to the American flag. And some of those things that she did, just that harshness that kind of made me have that resistance in my heart. I think back to that often, that feeling that she created in me. I didn't do anything to love me closer to God. She did make all of us kids obey her. She had great classroom control, if you will. She made all the kids stand up and pledge to the American flag. But it wasn't something that made a lasting impact. So I'm not sure what your background is or what you know about children evangelism and what kind of past experiences you had. But maybe this is your case as well, that someone has marked you. Someone out there has made a difference in your life. And I just ask for today's participation that we talked about, could you just leave a comment and share what has your experience of children's ministry been? This could either be as a child or as a teacher. And then also include, is there anything specific you'd like to focus on in this class? Is there a specific realm of child evangelism that you have questions about and would like to be answered? Please feel free to comment that as well. But just let me know, what is your experience of children's ministry? Has it been positive? Has it been negative? Maybe some of each, and just let me know a little bit about that. So why should we make child evangelism a priority? Why is this a whole class that you're taking this semester? Number one, we make it a priority because Jesus made children a priority. Some of the verses that just highlight this so clearly to me is Mark 9:37. Whoever receives one such child in my name receives me, and whoever receives me receives not me, but him who sent me. Guys, when we are reaching out to kids, when we're teaching children, we're doing it to Jesus as well. The next one is Matthew 18:10 that says, see that you do not despise one of these little ones, for I tell you that in heaven their angels always see the face of my Father who is in heaven. Now, I know there's a lot of different interpretations of this verse, and people are like, wow, the kids actually each, have an angel. And I don't know what we can say with certainty about that, but I do think it shows the protection that our Father has for them. He has an angel for those children, and we're not supposed to do anything that would hinder them. The next verse is, but whosoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, It would be better for him to have a great millstone fastened around his neck and be drowned in the depths of the sea. So, guys, as children's ministers, we have an important role, and God looks at it very seriously. But number two, not only is it important to Jesus, not only did he place an important priority on that, number two, we can team up with parents. I remember as an educator when this first became real to me, when I began to realize, you're not just here because you have these kids sitting in front of you and you get to spend time with them. You're here because God has given the responsibility of those children to them, to the parents, and those parents have entrusted you. We know that this comes from Child Trends, but this comes from a lot of different research, that children and adolescents who have a formal or informal mentor-like relationship with someone outside their home are less likely to have externalizing behavior problems like bullying or internal problems like depression. So while students have a great opportunity with their parents are their primary teachers, the parents are the ones who are growing them in the admonition of the Lord, you for maybe an hour, maybe 5 hours, however long, if you're a teacher or a children's minister, you have the opportunity to kind of take that responsibility over from the parents. And I kind of love the picture that we're like runners in a relay where you're taking the baton from the parents. They've been trusted with this precious gem, this precious treasure of their children, and they're handing that off to you and saying, we want you to be someone who steps up alongside and guides our children. That's an awesome responsibility. It's a huge responsibility, but the reward is worth it. Research also tells us that children that have an outside mentor, an outside positive adult, are likely to complete tasks they start. They can remain calm in challenges. They can show interest in learning new things, engage in physical activities, and be more engaged in school. And those that have a caring adult are more likely to talk with their parents about things that really matter. So your relationship with those kids in your Sunday school class, you're actually allowing the parents to do a better job than they could on their own. So these results suggest that mentor-like adults outside the home can be a resource in promoting positive well-being for children and adolescents. Guys, it's important that we team up with those parents. And the reason why this is that 50%, and this survey was done with people that were in ministry. The Ministry to Children did a survey that said 50% of people in ministry said they came to Christ with a parent. So that means that while your role is important as a child evangelist, you have the role of partnering with your parents. The parents of the kids are really where it's at, and you get to come alongside them, which is exciting. So number one, we do child evangelism because Jesus made children a priority. Number two, we get to team up with parents. Number three, the childhood age is crucial. Again, this was a survey done by Ministry to Children, and it was done for kids that were actively involved in ministry. So they said, hey, what were the forces that led you to come and become a follower of Christ? And the survey shared what a lot of other surveys have shared as well, that only 4.7% came to Christ after age 30. And this slim little margin, which is actually higher than some other statistics I've seen, this slim little margin of about 16% came to Christ after the age of 20. So that means this age right in here, this 12 to 19 age, it is 7 to 11, and even the 6 or younger, that age is the time when kids often make that lifelong commitment to Christ. A lot of times kids, they've already decided, even before middle school, hey, am I going to follow God? Is this God thing for real? Is this God thing worth it? Or am I going to walk away? This quote I love. It says, one of the biggest mistakes I've seen among those who have a heart for the lost is that they don't see the children in their own church as lost. Every child, even the cute ones in our Sunday schools, need the gospel. Our goal is not just to get the children into church, but into Christ. So if the church is to be missional, let's be missional with those closest to us, the ones already within the church walls. It's so easy to look at the children coming in their fancy little dresses and suits and whatever else they're wearing that day and think how cute and sweet and innocent they are. But guys, our mission field starts with kids. And if they can make that decision to radically follow Christ as a child, it'll make all the difference. Number four, the fourth reason why child evangelism is so important is our children are being attacked. There are so many things we could talk about. You just look at the news and you know how many sources of evil are quickly trying to vie for our kids' attention. But that verse that talks about Satan being like a roaming lion, there's nothing that makes me hate Satan more than thinking of him going out and actively trying to destroy the lives of my nieces, my nephews, the kids in my church. He's actively trying to destroy their life, and he is doing it through whatever means possible. Research tells us that on average, children ages 8 to 12 spend 4 to 6 hours on technology every day. And the average child will spend 14,040 hours in public school from K to 12. Now, I'm not here to attack public school, but I think we know that a lot of things taught there have a secular agenda. And we have to be very, very, very careful with that. And so when you think about all that is being thrown at kids and all that they're being attacked with, it's so important that we as educators, we are only getting them for 1 day a week, maybe 1 hour a week. We have to find a way to make it count and protect them. Number 5, children's ministry matters. That's just it. It matters. It's important. 29% of the surveyors on childrensministry.org attributed their salvation to a children's ministry leader. Now, it might seem a little small since it's less than half, but that actually surprised me how high that was. That 29% of the people were saying, hey, there was a children's pastor, there was a Sunday school teacher, someone who made a difference in my life, and that made me want to walk closer to God. Some other research that I've seen also tells us that kids don't, we always think kids want to come to Sunday school because of their friends. But later on, adults that are surveyed didn't say they went to Sunday school to be with their friends. They said they came because of the teacher, a teacher that showed them Jesus. You are one of the main impressions to children of who God is. It is your job to teach them that God is, who God is. And we'll get more into that as this class goes along. But guys, children's ministry matters. Now this picture shows a bunch of puzzle pieces, and I recently read a story by a lady named Natasha Crane. And if you haven't read any of her things, go check her out. Check out her blogs and websites and things. She has lots of great information. But Natasha Crane says that she went all the way from kindergarten to, graduated from high school. She left the church, and she said if she really were to sum up what she knew that Jesus saved her from her sins, that he died, and that she was supposed to go share the gospel, and that she was supposed to be a good person. But unfortunately, I see a lot of kids that are leaving the church, and that's about all they know. Get saved, be a good person, but they're not putting the puzzle pieces together. Natasha Crane did the math and determined that by the time she left home, she'd had over 600 hours of religious education in the church. But when she left, her understanding was so minimal. She had what she called a blah religion. It was just kind of that. It was a religion. It wasn't something personal to her. But children often receive little puzzle pieces of information. They get these little pieces that are coming their way. They, read about Moses and the mountain. They read about Jesus coming to earth as a baby. When it comes right down to it, they have to be taught how to put the pieces together. The Bible is a big book. Christianity is a big concept. And if we just give them little pieces that kind of are like little good moral lessons of be a good person, be a kind person, they're not going to put those puzzle pieces together on their own. So this semester, my job as your teacher and you guys' job is that we're going to try to figure out how to put those puzzle pieces together for kids, that they can have a foundation in Christ that is strong and that is leaning hard on Him.